Hey there, and welcome to this installment of coverage from The Big One, which is a charity tournament put on by The Final Swindle, care of Karen and Zeramis. So without further ado, you should see on your screen the matchup for this particular game. And if you want further details, they'll be in the video description below. Let's hop into it. So as you can see, as Zach was saying, we got the Quixel Stone out, and CodWag follows up with Crump into Gauntlet of Command. We got Lethalogica from JDG to get rid of Ancient Power and Bouncing Deathquark, but of course picking up Bouncing Deathquark. And here is that lovely, lovely Igor.
Enhanced Legacy Igor. I love enhanced legacies are one of my favorite things in this game.
So cool, because even more rare than even just a normal card that's enhanced. And there's, I mean, there are a fair amount of normal cards in the set that are enhanced in ways that are one of a kind. But even certainly more cool if it's a card that doesn't even exist in the set. Poke is running hot right now with a pretty bad Jericho deck. Keep an eye on it too. All right, we'll if maybe once this game finishes up, we'll take a look. Take a look at that one. When are we going to get KeyForge on the radio? I don't know. You know what you should do? You should listen to Call of Discovery. It's kind of like KeyForge on the radio.
I would hope Hyper does. Hyper and I are old real life friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, JDG bouncing Deathquark into Forge Compiler. CodWag having a good think over there across from Quixel Stone. The name of CodWag's deck is One-Eyed Longears Yesun.
Yesun.
One-eyed with a hyphen, Longears in quotes, Yesun, Y-E-S-U-N.
I feel like the one...
We've got a Terms of Redress, Shield of Justice, Glorious Few, Whispering Reliquary, just for a couple amber, then back over to JDG.
I feel like this, the CodWag's deck is not what I was thinking about when I was talking earlier, so if whatever I was saying earlier didn't make sense, I apologize.
There's the Transporter Platform. Oh, man. Transporter Platform, Particle Sweep, Survey.
Oh my goodness, coming in hot. Tabletop Royale. Thank you for the $100 donation to the charity, to Doctors Without Borders. Great charity, great tournament, great community. I concur, and I concur. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, Justin and Nathan. That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's a huge vote of support from, I mean, some of my favorite creators in the community, certainly. That's awesome.
They're one of a kind, or two of a kind, I guess. Two of a kind. real upstanding folks. Oh, yes. I got you. I got you, Coffee Saga.
CodWag just playing for pips at this point, and not too far behind JDG, able to steal off of a Nerve Blast. So just playing the pips game and currently keeping up 5 amber apiece on CodWag's turn. We've got a bit of a pause here as CodWag considers what to do. Maybe it's considering whether we're going to play a creature, hold something.
Just play for pips.
I love needlessly complicated like abbreviations or acronyms. Oh, it's just an old JP4P.
Or you gotta add more to it though. You gotta be like JPTCFP. It'd be like just place the card for pips. Makes sense in my head. Okay, so
CodWag getting to check, but Ludo with a capture and for a Captura, turning into a capture as well onto Ludo, keeping CodWag off of that key.
This will actually be a fairly interesting matchup, I think, because I think as we determined, there's like a chance. I mean, it doesn't seem like this One-Eyed Longears deck necessarily requires having a bunch of creatures on the board. We are seeing some Brobnar stuff come down, certainly, but so we'll see if it can kind of hold its own against a deck that certainly needs no creatures on the board.
Yeah, CodWag getting an amber off of Punch dealing with that Ludo. So getting up to 7 amber here, getting their captured amber off. JDG getting a nice amber advantage off of that enhanced opposition research and then eclectic inquiry, both with amber pips. So no reaping for those Brobnar creatures, then bouncing Deathquark to remove at least the Fire Spitter or Troll. We'll see which one he picks here, but also on check himself. But CodWag keeping even so far. Even so far. The shenanigans have not fully activated on the other side of the board, but CodWag is keeping pace. Fully activated shenanigans is a good band name.
I like it. What are the instruments in fully activated shenanigans?
I feel like they're a Arcade Fire style band where they've just got a kind of like prog rock mix of a little bit of everything.
Yeah. There's got to be some type of theremin or something really off the wall in there too, though, for maximum shenanigans. All right, so it looks like CodWag does get the key. That Forge compiler compiles itself into Oblivion for no real effect, and we see a Shadow's turn. Got too much to protect. Too much to protect to steal 1. Discards the Moon Cursor. Relentless Whispers, which will not steal, and then Master Plan to toss another card under, or to toss a card under Master Plan. What a really cool card. This is a card that I have never played. Master Plan, never.
I love Master Plan. It's in one of my very first decks. But yeah, that's a great Shadow's turn there. Stealing some amber, getting a bunch of pips off of the double too much to protect off of the Master Plan. So getting up to check for another key. And for capture, of course, as soon as JDG plays a creature, they can turn any pips into capture. We haven't seen the Exile yet, so could still be
could be coming right now.
Yeah. Ooh, Spoils of Battle, Chant of Hubris, moving the amber over. Ooh. Okay, not full on shenanigans yet, but still taking 2 amber off of CodWag on that one move.
We have the Whispering Reliquary. Return an artifact to its owner's hand. That's it could be interesting here.
Can slow down the transporter platform or the animator, certainly.
See if it comes into play here. What do I get? I always whenever I see a Master Plan, I'm like, what could be under there? Could be anything. Looks like we are going to see a Sanctum turn. Have we seen the Virtuous Works yet?
I don't believe so.
We have the Brothers in Battle get played. That's cool.
Just for the pip, it looks like, and then a Fire Spitter fighting into Ludo.
Well, so that was off of Master Plan, actually.
Oh, yes.
We do have the Staunch Knight coming down, Blinding Light, Whispering Reliquary. Yeah. It's all very it's all very confusing when Master Plan's on the board. Picks up the M4 Captura. That's actually interesting with the M4 Captura. One of the big threats on that Captura is from Sanctum. So we'll see. I mean, I was kind of going back and forth in my head. What would I be most interested in picking up, or stuffing back in hand with the Whispering Reliquary? And I could definitely see the M4 Captura, because
it makes sense because he needs to go back to Saurian to get that out. Unless there's no, this is mass mutation, so we won't have a regular Com Officer Kirby. So.
Sure. Not commonly, at least. They do exist. I think there are a handful of decks out there that have both subject and Com Officer Kirby.
Sure.
Which I always thought would be cool. So we do see a transporter platform, some shenanigans coming down.
The double Demo alien. Yeah.
Drop hip and damage. Putting the damage onto the Demo alien, presumably wanting to oh, well, I guess it doesn't matter.
And a Contrino Flux, yep.
It doesn't matter. It's all gone.
So that is check. So CodWag getting to forge the second key. JDG at check with just 6. If CodWag can at least pull 1 amber off, they'll be able to slow down JDG. Whispering Reliquary, of course, still an option to at least bounce one of those artifacts to force JDG to go back to Star Alliance to play them again. But we'll see what he chooses to do here.
Well, especially interesting now because a Star Alliance turn just happened, so like can kind of gum up the hand a little bit, which is pretty.
That's right.
Pretty fun. Nice, reproducible Ember disruption, or I'm not Ember, artifact disruption rather.
Yeah, and you can guess that there's no Star Alliance in the hand, most likely, unless he's bluffing, because he just discarded, or JDG discarded all of that remaining Star Alliance. So it is probably just Logos and Saurian left in there.
Sure. CodWag having a good think here. Let's see what they've played so far. We just had a, not to be mistaken, we did not have a Brobnar turn. We had a Sanctum turn preceded by a Shadows turn. So it seems like we haven't seen a whole lot of Brobnar. 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in the discard, including the Gauntlet. Looks like we're going to see a Shadows turn with Bait and Switch.
There's the Bait and Switch.
The full hit off of Bait and Switch. That's pretty big.
Yes, that's fun.
Discards the Nexus, buys one more turn against the
just a four amber swing.
Classic 4 amber swing. This is interesting. This is CodWag definitely up on keys and up on Ember. This is definitely a very different game than what we just witnessed with JDG, which is of course not to say that the shenanigans are not done yet, because we know now that JDG now has the Exile in hand. I do believe, so that's a bit nasty.
That could be a still really big swing waiting to happen, and now we have Transporter Platform on a Logos turn with Animator out. So yeah, that could be rough. Yeah, JDG just playing Opposition Research, playing Animator, discarding a couple creatures. Now I have to say, Whispering Reliquary, doing work in this matchup, bouncing things back to hand. One of my favorite things about it is that it's sneakily a Epic Quest enabler, because you can return it to your hand, right? If you get that before you get your Epic Quest, you just Whispering Reliquary and bounce the Whispering Reliquary, then play it again, and it counts as a Sanctum card played.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
It's a fun little Epic Quest enabler to look for if you're, I haven't seen a lot of Epic Quest decks win on the back of Epic Quest, but if I know they're out there somewhere, and one of them may get an assist from Whispering Reliquary. Oh, there's the Virtuous Works. There it is.
Nice, going up
Whispering
to 6.
Reliquary doing work. It knew we were talking about it.
Returns the
Animator goes back.
Animator as well. Wow, nice.
So check for final key for CodWag, but we know that Exile's in hand.
With the Amphora Captura, yeah.
Yep, capture to stop the key.
Have we seen the second spoils as well? Or do we expect that that's coming in? I see one.
Hedonistic Intent to Exalt. Spoils, there it is.
Oh boy.
There's spoils to just empty the bank accounts. There's Exile. You turning that Amber Pip on Exile into a capture.
That's
7 Amber.
That's absolutely brutal.
CodWag's bank account has been drained. Absolutely drained.
Absolutely gross. And we'll see how CodWag can respond to that. It's definitely a tough thing to respond to, that's for sure. And what a swing to it's like on check for your third key, no longer on check for your third key, and also have no Ember, and you're about to drop 7 Ember to your opponent whenever they can deal with that Galeatops, which with the double bouncing Death Quarks, very very doable. Contrino Flux as well. Lots of great options as we determined. Loot the bodies, and pretty much
that's it. Yeah, just mostly discarding, getting the Iron Obelisk onto the field, and over to Logos for JDG. Oh, bouncing Death Quark to just take all of it.
CodWag's got to be hoping. CodWag's got to be hoping for a TMTP here. I think that is that's like
there
the
are
out.
3 of them. We saw 2. Oh yeah, 'cause it flipped, but we saw 2. Burn the stockpile. Okay.
It's all right.
Still good. if there's a way to get a Brobnar creature on the field and wounded, that'll at least tax for one more amber. Oh, nope, that's turn.
That's it.
Turn. Back over to JDG.
So no TMTP. That would have been a pretty good, maybe not counter, but a really nice, really nice kind of out there.
Yep, JDG pushed their luck. That I think with the amount of logos they had in hand, that was the best turn as far as that was concerned, and they were just betting on no TMTP, and it worked.
It's so cool that these surveys as well can be used to thin out the deck, so you don't have to draw into some of these creatures.
Yes, that's very true.
I think that's something I didn't realize JDG was doing. I presume they were doing it in the last game, but a really cool kind of synergy there. And there are the double surveys. Double surveys, you got the Lethalogica, which if you're looking at stuff, like maybe you're sad if you cycle through some of that Star Alliance stuff, but maybe the Lethalogicas are also used to get rid of some creatures, obviously randomly, but
honestly, I think the biggest power turns as far as Amber and handcrafting are concerned are in logos. So I think on average you're happy to the Lethalogica into whatever you get.
Sure.
I will also say JDG was probably paying attention to how many cards CodWag drew when the deck flipped to see really what the chance was of getting a TMTP. I mean, there's 3 in the deck, right? So it's a decent chance however they go. But if CodWag was only drawing 2 cards when the deck flipped, that's only 2 cards out of I think it was going to be 28 maybe.
Yeah. Well, and there's no creatures on the board. There's no creatures on the board. It's not like your deck is super thin on the reshuffle.
Ooh. An animator to take out the Whispering Reliquary. Wow.
JDG says, no thank you. Please stop that.
Whispering Reliquary, too much of an MVP.
What do you think here? Just got to be like, you got to maybe cycle to get to some of your Ember control options if you're CodWag. Obviously, it's impossible for us to know what's in hand. We did just see a Sanctum turn and Brobnar before that, so you got to imagine some Shadows is building up. And I have to imagine at this point JDG isn't gonna be so bold as to blitz really far above the requisite Ember needed to forge.
And I'm wondering if CodWag has considered holding a TMTP, right? Which would have been quite a bit of a cost, but that exile play does quite a bit of Amber.
Sure.
Although with 3, it's honestly a slightly lower risk if you've got 3 in your deck, that you don't have it when you need it. If you've got a whopping 3, too much super text.
Yeah, that's just a bit much, really.
Right. And most of what JDG's deck does is just 2 to 3 Amber a turn, and their opponent does less, right?
Yeah,
that's most of what their deck is doing.
So this is interesting. We get the Headhunter on the board. And can't reap because there's opposition research. That's
that happens
unfortunate.
All the friggin' time.
All the time.
All the friggin' time.
It's still not. I don't think it's bad because you still you've got your Poison Wave, Nerve Blast. You've got some options that you might want to put some damage. You could use to put damage onto the Headhunter to work with the Iron Obelisk. So we'll see if that ends up providing some value having a Brobnar creature on the board. Of course, unfortunate that the opposition research was missed, as is not uncommon when playing on TCO.
Right. Gotta check the log. Which I don't know if I wonder if CodWag would have discarded Headhunter. I think the most that JDG does with it is get rid of it. Of course, it does lock CodWag into just 1 creature currently.
Sure. All right, we see a Shadows turn, so it's got to be something, either damage on Headhunter or some type of steal.
Pitching Moon Cursor to Poison Wave, which does trigger Iron Obelisk to stop that key. So good having the Headhunter out for that at least. Nerve Blast, dealing 2 damage to Headhunter.
Stealing 1 there. Definitely running out of some options though in terms of pulling JDG off of check.
Yes.
With the kind of the less flexible of those Shadow Steals being the Relentless Whispers, although Headhunter being in in striking distance of a Relentless Whispers on a potentially subsequent turn. I wonder what Kyanurse is thinking through here. I wouldn't be surprised if, as you mentioned kind of earlier, it's a situation of like, do I hold on to the TMTP or do I just believe in the heart of the cards that I'm going to draw another one?
Right.
And they opt to, we can't say for certain. Obviously, we don't know what's in hand, but they opt to not play anything, completing their turn. And we're going to see another Starlight's turn here.
Survey, yeah. Quintrino Flux, discarding Saccharine Lane, discarding Secure Droid. So simply just reducing the key cost back to 6 at 6. So check. In a normal game, I'd say this is still very much anybody's game. I think it is, but...
the Rogue Ogre.
Rogue Ogre.
Rogue Ogre.
Yes, Rogue Ogre. For those of you not acquainted with the Coda Rare, 6-power giant mutant. At the end of your turn, if you played exactly one card this turn, Rogue Ogre heals 2 damage and captures 1. I love it. That's peak KeyForge right there. Is Rogue Ogre keeping?
Where did Rogue Ogre come from?
I love Rogue Ogre. I love Rogue Ogre so much.
Just as planned, Karen says. All according to plan.
Because that, now, of course, we know JDG has plenty of creature removal. So the Rogue Ogre likely not long for this world, but it's good Amber control because in this situation, CodWag often only plays 1 card per turn, right?
Oh, this is interesting. So we do see...
oh, that's gross.
Yeah, that's pretty rude.
Because then it stays on the artifact, and when artifacts leave play, that goes back to the common pool, not your opponent. Oh, no. That's gross.
Absolutely rude.
That's gross. And it's temporary creatures too, right? Like it pops back to the artifact line. That's ridiculous.
That's so cool too, because like you could even, in this situation, presumably the transporter platform just reaps, right? Generates an ember, or doesn't, just goes back to hand. I think we've already. Oh, I see. The maybe TMTP is the concern. Another TMTP into.
Right, because even 1 extra Amber could... Well, it's a good situation with Rogue Ogre, because Rogue Ogre can just ping 1 to keep off check, and a TMTP could get CodWag, further to victory. So JDG isn't a precarious spot, definitely an advantageous one, but it's certainly not game over yet.
There's like this weird, like... So Rogue Ogre, you could like... CodWag or CodWag could take just another Brobnar turn. I'm sort of assuming they're holding on to some shadow stuff. You get a double reap off of Rogue Ogre. Rogue Ogre prevents the key.
Yeah.
And then you're building up more Ember on Rogue Ogre, such that if it gets removed in a subsequent turn, you've got that TMTP to protect.
Right.
But it does look like we are going to see a Shadows turn.
It looks like we're going to get the Rogue Ogre removed, yeah. Oh, wait, no, Shadow's turn from CodWag, excuse me, yeah.
Yeah. Just the Relentless Whispers to put damage onto the Rogue Ogre, and Rogue Ogre captures another and heals.
And heals itself, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, actually not great with the Iron Obelisk.
Right. See, but the KeyForge forces the situations where you're playing at a very high level with the weirdest cards, right? Like Rogue Ogre. Like Rogue Ogre is what is keeping this game going right now.
Yeah.
And in a constructed game, Rogue Ogre would not be the cinch card at the end of the game. It would have been a card that we all have memorized because we bought it for $250 on the secondary market.
Yeah.
Lethalogic taking Igor, opposition research to stop the reap, animator to move Forge Compiler up. Forge Compiler is going to fight.
Interesting.
Discarding Infomorph.
Interesting. Increasing their own key cost.
Yeah. So not a check. I trust that was a good move. I just don't see the exact reason here. Oh, Virtuous Works. Shield of Justice.
Oh my.
Oh man.
That's some Ember that is generated.
Which the only reason they were really able to do that, because there was no Amber control on that turn.
Is because
there was no Amber control on that turn. Was because the damage took the key cost up and took JDG off check. That's the only reason CodWag had the flexibility to do that.
That will. I'll be curious to figure out what the kind of the plan was there. Of course, honestly, like with a deck like JDG's playing, like I'll just assume I have no clue because
right.
there's so many big brain plays happening that I can't possibly keep track.
We have seen JDG empty the bank accounts before, so no creatures in hand for JDG. So I'm wondering, okay, fighting there.
Oh.
That's game.
There's a tink in the armor.
It.
Wow.
CodWag is taking it. Finally taken down the bonkers Quixelstone Animator Amphora Captura.
Wow.
Transporter platform deck. Man, that was amazing. That is one of the most involved fights for the last key that I have seen.
That was nuts. And as you
amazing play.
Rogue Ogre. The Rogue
Ogre MVP. Buy your Rogue Ogre decks now. Get them out. Practice with them. Rogue Ogre MVP. Right there.
The secondary market's just going to be popping for that Rogue Ogre now.
Right. Well, one of my favorite old Coda decks is a Brobnar deck with a Rogue Ogre.
Oh yeah. Oh man. That was really something. Amazing. I really don't think I've ever seen a Rogue Ogre used to such potent effect.
I could stop it. I don't think I've seen a Rogue Ogre used except for my own text. I could just stop the sentence there.
Yeah.
It's one of those Coda rares I start to forget about because it's been so long since I played any decks and they didn't reprint the thing.
Yeah.
Rogue Ogre could have totally been a reprint. I mean, I guess Brobnar wasn't in Mass Mutation, but it'd be a fun reprint for something in the future.
I feel like Rogue Ogre is like a footnote in KeyForge, where it's like a footnote that only really came back out in Mass Mutation now that everyone's worried about mutants, and they're always like, oh wait, but there is that one Brobnar mutant, the Rogue Ogre. So whenever I come across a Rogue Ogre,
watch out for your Vault's Blessing. You don't want to give somebody with a Rogue Ogre a timber. It gets to redraw a card when Torrado's on the board. Like, my goodness.
Oh man.
But yeah, Zoke saying, "Well, that was so cool." Just gonna say the same thing, Morty. Never seen Rogue Ogre used so well. That's what makes KeyForge so awesome. Every card has it. Yeah, exactly.
So good.
If you were constructing a deck, you wouldn't put Rogue Ogre in it. But CodWag found themselves in a place where Rogue Ogre was the creature, everything else was restricted by Quixelstone. Rogue Ogre has a special ability that was actually extremely relevant in the end game, and helped them get across the finish line there.
I was also today hours old when I discovered that Iron Obelisk and Rogue Ogre is sort of an anti-synergy. It's just never something that occurred to me.
CodWag even put damage on him. We were like, oh yeah, key cost went up, and then boop, it went away because it needed to capture the amber. It balanced out a little bit because it was an an amber capture while the key cost went back down. But yeah, you didn't get best of both worlds unless you put more than 3 or more damage on him. So
it's too funny.